Howdy, I'm Clint Walker and you're watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Clint, and I'm Randy Hansen. In today's World News headlines, thousands attend funeral of Muslim students in North Carolina. FBI opens probe. And 8 Ukrainian soldiers killed before new truce takes effect. And UN Secretary General says Yemen collapsing before our eyes. 19 killed, dozens wounded in suicide attack on Pakistani mosque. And Pentagon approves hormone therapy for gender transition of Chelsea Manning. And Senate overwhelmingly confirms Ashton Carter as Defense Secretary. And Harvard students launch sit-in for fossil fuel divestment. An FBI director urges police forces to confront unconscious racism. And NYT media columnist David Carr died at 58. GVTV News is broadcast on Grass Valley Television, a division of Rural Counties Television Network, whose focus is on community involvement. We also air on NCTV. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us. In today's first world news story, thousands gathered in North Carolina on Thursday for the funeral of 3 Muslim students shot dead by a gunman who had posted anti-religious messages online. Razan Mohammed Abu Saleh and her sister Yusur Abu Saleh and Yusur's husband De Barakat were killed execution style in what family members called a hate crime. Suspected gunman Craig Stephen Hicks had been charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. Hicks frequently posted anti-religious comments on Facebook page. Police say the early probe suggests the killing resulted from a parking dispute. Claim of the victim's family and friends reject. FBI is also investigating. A crowd of more than 5,000 packed a soccer field in North Carolina State for Thursday's service, paying tribute to the victims and demanding justice for the murders. And 8 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed and several dozens wounded in continued fighting in eastern Ukraine. Violence comes just after Ukraine and Russia agreed to a new ceasefire at a summit in Belarus. But the truce will not take effect until Sunday. New shelling had been reported in the rebel strongholds of Luhansk and Donetsk. And Washington State Department spokesperson Jen Psaki said despite the ceasefire, the United States is not ruling out new sanctions on Russia and sending military aid to Ukraine. She said an agreement isn't a piece of paper unless it's implemented, and so that what we've seen to date, the Russia and Russian-backed separatists have not taken the steps to implement. We will see that they do from here. We see what they will do from here. We have had long ongoing conversations with our European partners about additional steps that could be taken, and if it's not implemented or there is additional aggression, that's something we'll continue to discuss. The European Union has also threatened new sanctions on Russia if the deal is broken. United Nations has warned Yemen is on the brink of civil war and risks complete political collapse. Yemen had been in limbo since the Houthi rebels forced the resignation of Yemeni cabinet and then seized power. Addressing the Security Council, Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said Yemen faces a host of additional issues, including an al-Qaeda insurgency and major humanitarian crisis. And he also said, let me be clear, Yemen is collapsing before our eyes. We cannot stand by and watch. The country is facing multiple challenges. Dangerous political crisis continues in Sana'a. There are more widespread and lethal attacks by al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula and increasing hostility between the AQAP and the Houthis in various provinces south of Sinai, such as Damar and al-Bayda. There are increasing succession tendencies in the south and an acute humanitarian crisis. United States, Britain, France, and France have closed their embassies in the capital of Sana'a over security concerns. On Thursday, al-Qaeda-linked fighters seized an army base in southern Yemen and held soldiers captive. At least 19 people have been killed and more than 60 wounded in an attack in a Shia mosque in northwestern Pakistani city of Peshawar. At least 4 suicide bombers wearing the uniform of state forces reportedly hit the mosque during prayers. Pentagon has approved hormone therapy treatment for the gender transition of the U.S. Army whistleblower Chelsea Manning, previously known as Bradley Manning, announced she identified as a woman and planned to seek hormone replacement treatment after her 2013 conviction for passing cables to WikiLeaks. She sued the Pentagon last year for denying gender transition medical care and failing to follow other protocols for treating gender dysphoria. In a memo this month, a military official confirmed hormone therapy will be added to Manning's treatment plan. The Senate has confirmed Ashton Carter as the new Secretary of Defense. President Obama tapped Carter after forcing the ousting of Chuck Hagel late last year. Carter has a long history in the Pentagon, which he has served as a chief arms buyer. In 2006, he was backed a preemptive strike against North Korea, and his country continued with the planned missile test. Carter has recently voiced support for arming Ukraine and opposing the transfer of prisoners from Guantanamo Bay. The Senate approved his bid with an overwhelming 93-5 vote. Students at Harvard University are staging a sit-in to demand their school join the growing list of institutions divesting from fossil fuels. Campus-led divestment movement calls for purging investment portfolios, assets tied to companies that drive and profit from global warming. Harvard's endowment is the largest of any school in the world, $36.4 billion. Students launched their sit-in inside a building housing the offices of school administrators, including President Drew Fast. Hundreds of actions are expected around the world today and Saturday as part of a global divestment day. Maybe all the students will quit driving. That'll solve the problem right there. FBI Director James Comey has called on police nationwide to confront what he said unconscious racial bias in the wake of a spat of killings of unarmed African Americans. In an unprecedented speech, the FBI chief said the nation's epidemic racism must be addressed. Much research points to the widespread existence of unconscious bias. Many people in our white majority culture have unconscious racial bias and react differently to the white face than a black face. Police officers on patrol in our nation's cities often work in environments where a hugely disproportionate percentage of street crime is committed by young men of color, something that happens to people in goodwill working in that environment. After years of police work, officers often can't help but be influenced by the cynicism that they feel. A mental shortcut becomes almost irreversible or irresistible, whatever. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know if I want to read all this story because it's so ridiculous, but Comey is known to keep copies of FBI wiretap orders targeting Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as a reminder of the agency's past misdeeds. Yes, we're a terrible country. Media columnist David Carr of the New York Times has died. Carr collapsed in the Times offices Thursday night and was pronounced dead shortly after. Hours before, he had moderated a panel discussing documentary Citizen4 along with director Laura Poitras, Glenn Greenwald, and film's lead subject Edward Snowden. He was 58 years old. Sad. That's it for World News Today. Now, thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. That's right, it's time for the police blotter. Pictures in the blotter not from these actual events, but used for visual aid only. These public records are obtained from daily logs issued from Nevada County law enforcement. Grass Valley Police Department on Tuesday, 9:30 a.m. A caller from a business 500 block of Sutton Way reported scratch marks around the windows and requested extra patrols. 10:13 a.m. a caller from Silver Springs High School reported a physical fight involving 4 to 6 students was averted. The argument involved Facebook comments. 11:59 a.m. a woman from 1400 block of Sedgeworth Way reported a vehicle had been vandalized. And 12:23 p.m. a woman from East Main Street and Hughes Road reported road rage. 3:09 p.m. a caller from South Auburn and Bank Streets reported finding personal belongings in a fenced-off dumpster area. At 3:32 p.m. a caller from Highway 20 and Dorsey Drive reported a driver yelling obscenities and tried to ram a vehicle on the off-ramp. 3:51 p.m. a caller from Presley Way and Catherine theft of items from an unlocked vehicle. 4 p.m. a caller from 500 block of Brunswick Road reported a truck tried to run a caller off the road. The other driver said the original caller was driving erratically and he was following her. 5:33 p.m. a caller from 900 block of LeBar Meadow Roads reported a man lying on the ground. At 5:36 p.m. a man from 800 block of Sutton Way reported 2 bags of groceries were stolen from the bed of a truck. At 7:36 p.m. a caller from Bragg and Alta Vista Avenue reported a man possibly trying to break into a residence who fled when confronted. At 11:01 p.m. a woman from 100 block of Church Street reported a vehicle had been vandalized with acid. Wednesday, 12:19 a.m., caller from business in 100 block of Mill Street reported a woman refusing to leave who was arrested on suspicion of being drunk in public. At 3:43 a.m., a caller from 1000 block of Sutton Way reported a man in the store with bleeding hands, possibly under the influence. He had a warrant, Santa Cruz County, was cited and released. Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Tuesday, 8:22 a.m., a man from 24,000 block of Highway 49 reported a scam call. 8:42 a.m. a caller from 12,000 block of LeBar Meadow Roads reported cats locked in a house with no food since the resident was arrested February 6th. 9:27 a.m. a caller reported 2 counterfeit $20 bills. At 9:43 a.m. a caller from Williams Ranch School reported ongoing bullying. 10:10 a.m. a caller from 22,000 block of Purdon Road reported harassment and vandalism. And at 11 a.m. a caller from 21,000 block of Hyatt Road reported vandalism. And 3:28 p.m. a caller from 15,000 block of Little Valley Road reported a man pinning a woman down on a bed and assaulting her. He was arrested on suspicion of spousal abuse, criminal threats, damaging a phone, and brandishing a weapon. 4:20 p.m. caller from Brack Place reported a theft. And 4:42 p.m. a caller from Taylor Crossing and Dog Bar Roads reported a man who continually stands near the bus stop told a girl he was a neighbor and offered her a ride, which she refused. At 7:49 p.m. an assault victim from Meadowview Drive sought treatment at the hospital. And 7:52 p.m. a caller from 10,000 block of Private Drive reported a house had been ransacked and many items taken. 8:30 p.m. a caller from 10,000 block of Bragg Avenue reported finding the doors to a residence open, possibly due to a break-in. And 8:50 p.m. a caller from Greenhorn Creek reported a lot of gunfire. 11:30 p.m. a caller reported a woman was trying to stab a man in 23,000 block of Rosewood Road. And Wednesday, 7:13 a.m. a caller from 10,000 block of Dubrow Road reported a person slapped the caller and then poked the caller in the eye. Situation was mediated. In Nevada City Police Department on Monday, 10:35 a.m. a caller from 300 block of Old Donnyville Highway reported a man was under the influence and had a knife. The man said the suspect made a pass at him and then pulled a knife while he was in a vehicle. Suspect then fled the scene. Another caller called to report a man lying in her driveway. He was arrested on suspicion of being drunk in public. 12:44 p.m. a caller from Willow Valley Road in Nevada Street reported a woman scratching her face and rubbing up and down against a tree. 1:26 p.m. a caller from 400 block of Railroad Avenue reported a computer fraud. And Tuesday, 3:20 p.m. a caller from North Pine and Broad Streets reported a man playing what he thinks is music. Oh, is that Kanye West? Yeah, that's what I thought. And that's it for the blotter today. Now, another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only and visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's local news headlines, jury finds suspect in law enforcement shootout guilty on all counts. And truck thief reportedly caught in the act. And our first story out of Sacramento, after just 3 days of testimony, a federal jury has found Brent Douglas Cole, 61, guilty on all counts on the June 2014 shootout near the South Yuba River campground. Despite Cole's claims that he was acting in self-defense, jury on Wednesday found him guilty of assault on a federal officer with a deadly weapon, which inflicted bodily injury, assault on a person assisting a federal officer with a deadly weapon, which inflicted bodily injury, and discharge of a firearm during and in relations to a crime of violence. Protecting members of law enforcement who protect our communities is one of this office's most important priorities, said U.S. Attorney Benjamin Wagner in a prepared statement. Violence directed at law enforcement officials who are lawfully performing their duty is unacceptable. As a result of the verdict, Mr. Cole is looking at many years in prison. We're grateful for the investigative assistance of our federal and state law enforcement partners, and we thank the Nevada County District Attorney's Office for its essential assistance and cooperation. Cole is set for sentencing May 1st. He faces a maximum statutory penalty of 20 years on each of his first 2 counts and up to 10 years on the third, which must be served consecutively to any sentence he receives on the first 2 counts. He also faces a fine of up to $750,000. This case was the product of a collaborative state and federal investigation involving the Bureau of Land Management, Federal Bureau of Investigation, California Highway Patrol, Nevada County Sheriff's Office, and Nevada County District Attorney's Office. Assistant United States Attorneys Michael D. McCoy and Hiko Coppola prosecuted the case. Assaulting a federal officer and any officer assisting them in their lawful duties is intolerable, said Assistant Special Agent in Charge Manuel Alvarez of the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Sacramento Field Office. The FBI will thoroughly investigate such egregious and violent crimes to ensure that the perpetrators face justice for the criminal acts they have committed. According to evidence presented on trial on June 14, 2014, Bureau of Land Management Ranger Tad Polterock stopped Cole after he observed him driving his vehicle down a brush-in trail near North Bloomfield Graniteville Road. After advising Cole that he could not drive on the trail, Polterock allowed Cole to leave without issuing him a citation. Polterock then went up the trail and discovered a campsite in a small clearing, located 2 motorcycles, one of which had previously been reported stolen and the other was expired registration tags. Polterock decided to impound both motorcycles and subsequently contacted the California Highway Patrol to request assistance. A short time later, CHP officer Brant Harden arrived at the site to assist Polterock. While both officers were working on the campsite, Cole emerged from the brush and announced that he was coming to get his things. Polterock testified that he asked Cole if he was armed, and when Cole replied that he was, Polterock removed his handcuffs. Cole said he would not allow the ranger to place handcuffs on him. He then drew a Taurus .44 caliber revolver, pointed the weapon at Polterock, and fired multiple rounds, striking him in the left shoulder. In response to Cole's actions, both Polterock and Harden returned fire. Cole then fired multiple rounds at Harden, striking him in the right leg. After expending his ammunition and being shot multiple times, Cole told law enforcement he gave up. The 2 officers handcuffed Cole. called for assistance and then rendered medical aid while waiting for fire and medical emergency services to arrive. Cole's arrest drew national media attention for his political views, including his belief in his right as a sovereign citizen and his internet postings regarding far-right conspiracies. "Take the right to bear arms away and this country will fall like a ripe tomato," he said in an interview in the county jail in late June. "You will see genocide. Look at Stalin. Look at Hitler. Look at the Indians. It's already happening in this country." But during his trial in federal court, Cole steered clear of any political statements. Cole had testified Tuesday that he was in fear of his life and he fired only after Polteruk fired first. According to Cole, Polteruk had taunted him with his handcuffs, and he believed the ranger might cuff him and then shoot him. He did not provide any specific reason for that belief, however. Cole's attorney, Jay Toney, told the jury that his client committed no crime and that Polteruk, a bad cop and a liar. Well, that's what he called him. According to Toney, Polteruk acted unreasonably in pulling out handcuffs, and Cole acted in self-defense against the imminent use of unlawful force. But prosecutor Michael McCoy told the jury that the evidence showed that Cole was an island unto himself who lashed out with a gun when things didn't go his way. According to McCoy, there was no unnecessary escalation by law enforcement, just a reasonable precaution that Cole responded to by taking a fighting stance and then displaying his handgun. Even if Polteruk fired first, McCoy said it was only after Cole pointed a gun at him. This violent event underscores the potential dangers BLM officers face every day as we safeguard the public and natural resources, said Kynan Barrios, BLM California Special Agent in charge after the verdict was announced. "We appreciate the strong support from all our law enforcement partners, especially the California Highway Patrol and Nevada County Sheriff's Department, whose actions prevented this incident from ending in greater tragedy. On behalf of the CHP, I wish to extend our appreciation to the Nevada County Sheriff's Office, Nevada County District Attorney's Office, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Bureau of Land Management, and the members of the prosecution team and the jury," said CHP Commissioner Joe Farrell. Officers across the nation face difficult challenges every day working towards protecting the people in our communities, Farrell said. A Texas man remains in county jail after reportedly getting caught in the act of stealing a truck in San Juan Ridge Tuesday afternoon. The man called 911 from 13,000 block of Whitsley Lane near Purdon Road at 12:44 p.m. to report attempted theft, according to dispatch reports. Property owners were working with their Ford F-150 parked nearby when a man put his dog in the truck, jumped in and started it, said California Highway Patrol spokesperson Greg Tassoni. The victims heard the truck started, ran over to see the suspect put it in reverse and try to flee. The man reportedly then crashed straight into a large metal storage container at a fairly good speed, causing moderate damage to the rear of the truck. Victims pulled him out of the truck, forcibly detained him, Tassoni said. Nevada County Sheriff's deputies and CHP officers responded to the scene and arrested the suspect, identified as James Edward Casper, 20 years old. Casper was booked into county jail on suspicion of vehicle theft and driving under the influence of a drug. He was being held in lieu of a $15,000 bail. And that's it today.
Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon, I could go to space. With the air like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm clap along if you feel like a room without a roof.
Grass Valley Television brings you local and world news, and we broadcast our 30-minute show 6 times a day on NCTV, Public Access, Comcast Cable, Channel 11 and 18. Also, we're on Suddenlink, Channel 16 and 18. We have 3 amazing series: Music, a 30-minute weekly show that airs 4 times a week, and Pride, Integrity, Guts, and Service, hosted by Sheriff Keith Royal and me on a bi-monthly series, plays 4 times a week. We're your community media, and if you have a business and would like to underwrite our shows, we offer almost 200 30-second spots a month on Comcast and Suddenlink. We also stream live on NevadaCountyTV.org and video on demand there, and our own websites, GVTV.org and GrassValleyTelevision.com. We also post to several Facebook pages and YouTube, Vimeo, Blip.tv, and many other sites on the web where we mirror our shows. We provide 30-second spots and a 60-second spot for you to embed on your webpage or whatever you want to do with it. For more information, you can call us at 362-8889 or email grassvalleytelevision@gmail.com. We will be happy to explain how your